Welcome to WID, helping millions understand the money behind America's biggest stories. Because every dollar has a story, and today we're decoding this one. We're looking at a literal blueprint of opportunity, specifically the geography of exactly where that opportunity lives in America right now.
So picture this. You're a hardworking young professional, or maybe part of a couple, living in California or New York. You're earning a really good salary, doing everything you were told is quote-unquote right. But you're caught tight in what we call the coastal squeeze. You're dealing with sky-high costs, endless saving, and you're crammed into a tiny space, feeling like you're literally going to be stuck renting forever. But then you look at the Texas reality. Suddenly you realize you can drastically slash your living costs, buy a substantially larger house, and fundamentally upgrade your daily quality of life just by heading south.
So, why are millions of Americans making this exact same decision? Well, let's dive into it, because this explainer isn't just about one single state. It's a fascinating, data-driven investigation into where opportunity actually lives in America today and how economic realities are quietly rewriting the entire map for both families and businesses.
Part 1. The Great Texas Migration. Let's look at where everyone is actually coming from.
The sheer scale of this movement is staggering. We're talking 40% of these new residents relocating from California and another 30% coming straight from New York. People aren't just casually deciding to move, they're actively escaping some of the most expensive coastal cities in the world. They're in desperate search of financial breathing room, literally running away from a housing market that just feels completely locked out to the average hardworking citizen.
And there's a thought here that brilliantly captures the emotion behind those statistics. For many families, moving to Texas feels less like relocation and more like getting a massive raise without even changing jobs. Think about that. For everyday parents and workers trying to build a future, getting to keep more of what they earn completely transforms their family's trajectory. It lowers their stress levels, pads their savings accounts, and completely shifts their outlook on the future.
But that brings us to a really important question. A temporary difference in rent isn't enough to sustain a massive population shift over decades, right? So cheap housing isn't the only reason Texas keeps winning. What is the actual foundation of this boom? Well, the secret lies in the very dirt the state is built on.
Which brings us to Part 2. The housing and land advantage, and how it's building the American dream.
Just look at the massive difference in housing construction activity between Texas, California, and New York. Texas has an absolute abundance of available land, but more importantly, their policies actually allow them to aggressively build on it. It's just basic supply and demand. By building far more homes and apartments, they actively combat housing scarcity. And this relentless construction pipeline is the exact mechanism that keeps the dream of homeownership actually within reach for ordinary families.
Of course, there's a slightly funny reality to all this new space. Some folks arrive for the housing prices, but they stay because their new two-car garage is literally larger than their previous apartment. It's a bit of relatable humor, sure, but think about the human consequence here. The sheer scale of the space completely changes the psychological and physical quality of life for someone who used to be a cramped renter.
But here's something you really need to consider. While affordable housing draws in the families and the remote workers, what invisible force is pulling in the massive, multi-billion-dollar corporations? Because you definitely don't get a booming population without a booming job market to support it. Let's look at the next piece of the puzzle to see how this builds into an undeniable gravity for business.
Part 3. The ultimate business magnet and why corporations just keep expanding.
When you look at the hard facts, the business advantage becomes crystal clear. You've got zero state income tax compared to high taxes on the coasts. You have a lower, streamlined regulatory burden instead of heavy red tape. Throw in incredibly robust local energy production and a rapidly growing eager workforce, and that combination creates an absolutely irresistible economic engine for corporate relocation and expansion. The math just makes sense for the bottom line.
To really grasp this, we have to talk about economic incentives. These are the financial motivations, like reduced tax burdens or cheaper operational costs, that systematically influence human and corporate behavior. By understanding these incentives, we can clearly see how geography and economic diversification work together to create a massive, undeniable surge in new jobs.
But hold on a second. Is this rapid influx creating a flawless utopia, or is the system starting to crack under its own massive weight? This brings us to a pretty crucial reality check, because absolutely no state can absorb millions of new residents without some severe friction.
Part 4. The hidden Texas challenges and the very real cost of rapid growth.
Anyone who's lived through a population boom knows it can be incredibly painful. We're talking about brutal, gridlocked traffic commutes. We're seeing rising local housing costs simply because demand is suddenly so high. There's severe strain on the power grid and local infrastructure. Add in notoriously high property taxes to fund local services, along with unpredictable weather risks, and you can see how rapid population growth actively stresses out both the brand new arrivals and the lifelong residents.
Part 5. Finding your own opportunity and the lessons here for everyday people.
The overarching lesson here is beautifully simple. Follow opportunity, not tradition. For generations, people naturally flocked to the coasts because that's where the traditional industries were. But today, geography and cost of living dictate your quality of life more than ever. Sometimes, to win, you just have to pack up and move to where the economic math actually works in your favor.
Let's walk through some highly practical, educational steps you can take to map out your own opportunity. Step 1. Objectively evaluate your relocation opportunities. Step 2. Actively research affordable, growing cities, because they exist all over the country. Step 3. Explore remote work, which entirely untethers your income from your zip code. And Step 4. Compare the true cost of living, not just the top-line salary. Now, this isn't financial advice, but it is a powerful framework to help you build your own housing market awareness and career flexibility.
Part 6. What happens next? Let's look at 3 potential futures.
Let's neutrally lay out these 3 potential futures. First, the optimistic future. Innovation and growth continue, and the state successfully scales its infrastructure to meet the intense demand. Second, the neutral future. The advantage slowly shrinks as the state gets more crowded, and costs naturally rise to match the rest of the country. And finally, the pessimistic future. Infrastructure and the housing market completely buckle under the pressure of millions of new residents, erasing the main appeal entirely. Time will tell which path wins out. So, let's summarize the crucial takeaways from today's explainer. Number 1. Geography dictates opportunity. Where you live profoundly changes how you live. Number 2. Housing affordability is the true underlying driver of modern American migration. And number 3. Economic incentives fundamentally shape the future of America. I really hope these takeaways leave you informed and hopeful about how you can leverage these economic truths in your own journey. As the map of American prosperity continues to shift, you have to ask yourself, where will your next opportunity be? Remember, every dollar has a story, and now you know this one. See you in the next decode.